You're trying to buy a new house, the advice is usually to sell your current house first. But homes are being sold almost as soon as they go on the market right now. So I don't know how you do that.
This makes you a little anxious thinking of the timing of all of it. So you might need to get a little creative. Here to explain exactly what's happening and how to move forward in this market, we welcome back Julie and Daniel Desrochers with Desrochers Realty Group and eXp Realty via Skype. Guys, it's good to have you both here to break off a little bit of knowledge for us.
It's good to be here.
Yes. Oh, you guys. Okay, so let's talk about inventory, Julie. How tight is it? Because you can say we got low inventory, but really, what are we looking at?
It's the tightest I've seen in the 16 years I've been in the industry. Whoa. So we're at a 42.6% low on inventory over last January, just to give you an idea.
Now, that is really wild. So to understand low inventory means that it is good for the seller because the buyer doesn't have as many options. But Elizabeth and I talked about this earlier. If you're selling a house, chances are you need to buy a house too. So I don't know if it's a win-win or a win-lose. What do you make of it?
It's tough because, yeah, if you want to go on the market and you want to sell, you can sell, great, but where are you going to go? So you need a place to go. And that's what we're dealing with a lot of people hesitant to put their house on the market. And I think that's what's contributing to the low inventory is because they don't know where they're going to go.
Yeah, so this is why you really need experienced realtors to help you and give you all the options. So let's start first with this bridge loan idea. Now, Julie, I mean, this is something that we actually bought a house, then sold, and would have been able to make it work with the timing, but we got a bridge loan just so that we could have a little bit of breathing room. And I think, I don't know what I paid in interest on that, but it was certainly worth it. Julie, how does that work?
Right. Well, with today's inventory and the way it is, if you put an offer in a house and you're contingent, you're not getting that offer accepted.
Yeah.
So we have to be going in on these houses non-contingent. And if you don't have the money to purchase a house first or the money for a down payment, people just think they can't do it. But we have lenders that will give those people bridge loans or home equity loans. So what they're doing is they're taking the equity in the house that they already have and taking that and using that as the down payment on the new house so they can purchase the new house, get into it. Then we can make an offer on a house that they want and they're free and clear, not having to sell their house.
And then that bridge loan, once you sell the house and move in, then you can immediately pay that whole thing off. It really is a nice bit of breathing room. So that's a good option. Daniel, let's talk about putting your house on the market. I'd be hesitant to put any kind of stipulations on it just because you want it to move fast. But you say that you could put your home on the market subject to you finding a home. How do you communicate that to the potential buyer?
From our end, it's actually really easy. It's just written up in the MLS, and then every time we have an agent showing the home, we just send them a little note before they actually go to the house, just saying simply that. If a buyer makes an offer on this property, we're happy to accept it, but it's going to be subject to the seller finding a home of their choice. It really does work well in this type of a market. Obviously, it doesn't work well when it's a buyer's market. In a seller's market, it works real well.
Is there usually a time frame on that, Daniel? Like, do you have to find the house within 30, 60, or 90 days?
Most buyers aren't going to want to wait beyond 90 days for sure. But usually you can find, obviously there's never a for sure, but most of our buyers are finding something within a few weeks to a few months. So I would think as a seller, if you put out 90 days, I think you'd be pretty safe.
This is an interesting idea too, Daniel. You could rent your home from the person who bought it from you.
Whoa, they're your landlord all of a sudden?
Yeah, it really can work out really well too. Basically you close on the house. So now you have your money so you can go shopping confidently and you know exactly how much money you have, because what we're listing homes for and what they're selling for, there could be a big gap there. So all of a sudden, we had one not that long ago, actually got $77,500 more for their house than they thought they would get. So that really helped them in that buy process. But you can actually close, get your money in your bank account, rent your house back from the people that are buying it for a month, 2 months, 3 months at a predetermined price. And now you don't have to do that double move. It can work really great.
Okay, boy, anything to avoid the double move
because the single move is stressful enough.
Yeah, single moves are a lot in and of themselves. Julie, let's talk about this low inventory situation and maybe some other ways to find a home. So if you've looked at all of the listings and you just can't find anything, you say that if you have a creative realtor, you might be able to unearth some new off-market listings.
Yeah, what we're doing for a lot of buyers that aren't finding something in the areas they're looking in is we're sending out letters, we're door knocking, we're actually getting on the phone and calling in those neighborhoods that those buyers want to be in, seeing if that person wants to sell their house or if they know that of anybody in the neighborhood that also wants to sell. So trying to be creative about getting off-market properties. Another thing that we're doing too is if someone had listed their home maybe 2 or 3 years ago in the neighborhood that you want to be in, we're going back to those old expired listings and maybe it didn't sell and reaching out to those sellers and letting them know that, hey, your house has probably gone up in value from 2 years ago. Do you still want to sell?
What do people say with
seeing
this?
If they want to sell.
When you knock at their door and say, hey, we know someone who's interested in this neighborhood, would you ever consider selling? Do they close the door immediately or do they say, like, how much could I get?
You get both. You get the door slammed in your face,
sure,
and you get people that will talk to you for an hour about wanting to sell their house.
And sometimes about their cats and dogs.
Sure, it's all part of it.
That happens too. Okay, Daniel, before we go, getting your offer accepted. So it's so competitive right now because that inventory is so low. What do you want to have all your ducks in a row ready to go so that you can actually be the one that the seller goes, oh, we want to give our house to those people?
Yeah, absolutely. You need a lot of things to line up in order for that to happen. One, you do need a realtor that is really strong and knowledgeable in negotiations and how to get everybody to understand. There's so many pieces to a purchase agreement. Just having everybody understand it's very important. You need a lender with a guarantee. We think that's so important. Our lender has a $20,000 guarantee to the seller. So, it's not just a pre-approval letter. It's a pre-approval letter that also says, if we're wrong and we drop the ball on this, the seller's going to get 20 grand.
Oh,
wow.
That's huge. So if you got multiple offers and one has a letter like that and one is, say, lender B that doesn't have something like that,
right.
If you're the seller, which one are you taking?
Yeah.
Yeah, no kidding.
There's a lot. This is kind of a crazy one. We're doing inspections at the showings now. So instead of making an offer subject to the home inspection, we're actually bringing the inspector to the showing, and they're doing what now I'm drawing a blitz inspection, just to make sure that all the major components are good. The buyers are offering to pay the seller's closing costs.
Wow.
Buyers are offering to buy a home warranty, which makes the seller a little more comfortable after closing. They're not
But then
come
you
back to
guys
them.
can help to navigate all that, Daniel, where you can say, here are our options so that we make sure that we come in swinging with the strongest offer. And if you say we're going to use the blitz play,
call in the blitz. Call in. Daniel, Julie, great stuff. Very informative as always. If you at home need a little bit of help navigating the current housing market and finding the right home for your family, reach out to Julie and Daniel and their team at Desrochers Realty Group and eXp Realty.
go to TwinCitiesLive.com, click on Fun for their contact information.